Hello, everyone. So, we are so happy to have you joining us. If you are watching this live or the recording, we're calling this a pop-up virtual workshop slash entrepreneurship task force meeting. And so we have a great topic, breaking dependency, owning the tech and media of tomorrow. And our own task force founder, Brett Chambers, is going to be interviewing Cary Wheelous. He's the founder of Hey Ty. Did I pronounce that correctly? Hey
Yes,
Ty, right?
yes, you did.
Yes, which is the largest Black-owned news and podcast app for Black content creators. So we need this information. I'm Shanae Williams, chair of the Entrepreneurship Task Force, longtime freelance journalist and content strategist. And I was thinking, since we have you all here, before we get into the conversation, we give you some quick updates on the task force. We are considering whether to merge the Entrepreneurship Task Force with the Freelance Task Force. And so we want your opinion, what you think about that. I'm going to drop in the comments the survey. It's a quick, brief survey that we're asking all the members to read through and to give us your feedback before we make this decision. Also, we have another event coming up. We were just invited to speak for an event that the NABJ National Office is hosting. It's called How to Launch Your Freelance Writing Career. That's going to be on Wednesday, April 15th. So definitely mark your calendars for that. I'll drop that link as well. That's April 15th. And if you are not following us, please do so. We have newsletters that go out. We have social media channels. We have a Facebook a group. And our whole mission, of course, is to support you. Whether you're a freelancer, whether you are a media entrepreneur, communications consultant, we want to support you and your business. So please make sure that you do that. And by that, I mean join the task force. All right, so those are my quick updates. Had to get that out there. But Brett, please take it away.
A very quick update. I wasn't expecting having that quickly. Um, Good evening, everyone. My name is Brett Chambers, co-founder, along with Dorothy Tucker, of this entrepreneurship task force for NABJ, National Association of Black Journalists. It is my pleasure to have somebody I've gotten to know over the past few years. He's spoken to our local chapter, Raleigh Durham, now Raleigh Durham Triad, and he's also visited my classroom at North Carolina Central University. And every time he visits, he always has a new update. He has a new addition to his portfolio, as well he should. And the things he has to share are very important for us to pay attention to. And just for a quick promo, we've submitted a panel that includes him to the innovation bubble, and we're just waiting to hear back. So you're getting a sneak preview of what you may see if we can show up in Atlanta with Mr. Willis.
Yes.
I'm going to turn it over to him and let him talk about himself. But I'm just glad that you folks are here. And hi, Deetra. Let's see somebody else from NABJ from the local chapter, and Ronnie. But I'm going to turn it over to you, sir. And if any of you want to reach out and invite someone else to come and join us, please do. We don't mind. Um, our our gatekeeper will let them in when they get here. All right, Mr. Willis, go ahead and take over, please.
Absolutely. First of all, I just want to thank you, Brad, as well as the team from the task force for inviting me tonight. Anytime that I get a chance to kind of share information about me and the work that I'm doing, I'm just extremely thankful for that. I actually put together a little short deck to kind of do a walkthrough. I'm actually going to go ahead and try to share this right now with everybody and talk to you about this particular topic. Breaking dependency, owning the tech and media of tomorrow. This is especially important for me for a wide variety of reasons. But just I'll start with giving you some background information. And the background information I'll give you is that I moved to North Carolina 10 years ago. This actually is year 10 for me. But I've been coming to North Carolina my entire life. My parents are from two tiny towns, not far from the Raleigh-Durham area, about an hour, hour and a half away. And so, but I never knew anything about specifically about the Raleigh-Durham area, specifically the Durham area, until I moved here. And I started going out visiting the area. I had a chance to get a chance to learn about Haiti, and we're going to get into that as I kind of walk you through the deck. But through that process, as I started to learn about Haiti and the accomplishments that took place here in Durham, North Carolina, something profound happened. During COVID, somebody was selling a 5 character domain name. They were selling Haiti.com. And I immediately had to acquire that name, and I decided to acquire that name. But to give you some background on Haiti, yes, the name sounds like Haiti. However, it is the name of the historic African American Black Wall Street that existed right here in Durham, North Carolina. And they named their community Hayti after Haiti. The original name of Haiti was spelled Hayti. And as you can see from the slide, it became the first Black community in America to become self-sufficient between the 1880s and 1940s. A lot of people don't realize how big it actually was. People say Black Wall Street, and the first thing they say is, or the first thing they think of is um, Tulsa. However, right here in North Carolina, we had North Carolina Mutual Life Insurance, which is the largest Black-owned insurance company. Right now, today, we have M&F Bank, Mechanics and Farmers Bank, which is the second oldest Black-owned bank in the U.S. today. And obviously, Lincoln Hospital and hundreds of businesses that were right here in the Durham area. I have a picture of North Carolina Mutual Life for a specific reason. That building, which is downtown in the heart of downtown, was the largest Black-owned, the largest corporate headquarters ever built by a Black-owned business. And it stood as the largest building in Durham, North Carolina until the 1970s. So that's the meaning and name behind basically Hayti. And I started this business, and I'll kind of come back here. And I started this business because during COVID, the Carolina Times, could you imagine a paper that had been around from the 1920s, actually, unfortunately, went out of business. And it was
Mhm.
a sad day for Durham, for the Durham community, when that paper actually went out of business. And when that paper had gone out of business, I actually wanted to understand, how could a Black newspaper that had been around from the 1920s go out of business? And so I started to do my research. During COVID, I was at home. I was reading a lot of news, like a lot of people, watching more TV than I probably ever did in my life. And I started counting just for the heck of it. I said, let me begin to count Black publishers. So I went to Flipboard, Newsbreak, Apple News, Google News, and I was counting all these Black publishers. At least I thought I was going to count a lot of them. And as it turns out, I couldn't get past 30 of them. And I said to myself, and even the ones that I followed, I was scrolling in my feed and I really didn't see their content. And I realized that there was a problem that existed in the space, in the tech world space. And that problem exists for what I found is not just for Black publishers, but for also Black podcasters. And these are sort of the barriers that basically that they faced even today. Discovery, these Black publishers and podcasters, and I'll just say media companies, have a really, really hard time getting discovered in your newsfeed as you scroll through. And part of the reason for that is the algorithm. Everybody talks about it. The large media companies control the algorithm. They control what shows up in your feed. They control what companies are able to monetize, the mobile traffic, those articles that you got a chance to read that they, put in your face every day and all the time. And lastly, the most important piece of that is monetization. If Black publishers and podcasters that are creating this amazing content don't get the traffic that they need, unfortunately, they won't be able to monetize their platforms. And so, as a result of that, I decided to do something I say revolutionary, which was create a mobile app. I realized that there was so much content in the space, but I also realized there wasn't a lot of technology being developed with respect to us owning our own tech. And so I wanted to be able to build a platform where we could be able to own our own platform to make sure that we can be able to bypass the algorithmic bias, and also obviously help publishers and content creators generate enormous amounts of revenue from driving mobile traffic to their platforms. And so therein lies the opportunity of Heytai. Today, Heytai is, as Shanae mentioned, the unfortunately the only Black-owned news and podcast aggregation app that exists in both app stores. I have successfully aggregated over 100 Black publishers, over 3,000 Black podcasters, and the Heytai app is a free app for publishers, for podcasters, and also for users to gain access to this information. And as you can see here, they can be able to customize their feed. They can be able to create their own folders. They can be able to read articles from publishers, small, medium, and large, and also listen to podcasts as well. And so I did this because not only was I doing research on, what available tech was out there for Black publishers and podcasters, but I also wanted to understand media consumption, how we're consuming media. And to my surprise, I'll say this, and I kind of knew this, but I really didn't know this until I actually got into the weeds. But Black folks in America, African Americans, consume more media than any other population when it comes to watching TV, game consoles, listening to the radio, streaming TV, social network, using our cell phones on a daily basis. So here's the one thing that I'm going to say. The first thing, we consume more media than anybody else. Then I took a deeper dive in terms of the media. I wanted to understand why that was the case and how important was it for us to get media and information from our community. And as you can see here, representation matters. From a news perspective, 40% of African Americans say that it's crucial for news about race to come from Black journalists and reporters. For podcasts, actually even higher, 75% of Black monthly podcast listeners, as you can see, they frequently follow or seek out content from Black stories and Black perspectives. And the same thing for radio. 64% of Black radio listeners are more likely to basically, connect with Black personalities across the world. And so we've got number two, media exposure, representation matters, right? Then I wanted to be able to look at the landscape. What's out there available for us? And this is what I found. Flipboard has over 10,000 publishers. Smart News over 3,000, Newsbreak over 1,000 publishers. All of these companies have raised hundreds of millions of dollars, as you can probably see here, and they're generating also millions of dollars every single year. But take a look at the number of Black publishers that I was able to find. As you can see, less than 1% of the content on these platforms comes from Black publishers. And secondly, they have 0 podcasters on their platform. This is the first time that Heytai is a very, very unique app in that this is a one app solution where you can get access to not only news, but you can get access to over 3,000 Black podcasts. Now, I could be an Apple. I could be a Google or Spotify if I wanted to. I've decided to curate our content specifically from our publishers and our podcasters. And that's what you see on Heytai. And that's the competitive advantage for Heytai. And so here's some features that I use to empower Black media today. The first is a native discovery engine. So I built an engine, and now it has become an AI engine for you to be able to find content. For example, there's often times that I'm looking in an app, and I also talk to people that see the app. It's the first time they've ever read an article from, the New York, Amsterdam News or the Washington Informer or some other Black publication. And so they get a chance to discover content from these media companies that normally they don't typically see across their feeds. Smart interactions. We have the capabilities just like any other app. You can like, you can share, you can comment inside the app. We have those features. Obviously, we have universal sharing capabilities to share. You can save your articles for later if you need to. But here's the really, really unique thing. Not only can you save them to just any bookmark folder, you can customize your folder. You can name your folder whatever it is. We're the first Black-owned app to be innovative, bringing some of these features to the marketplace. And lastly, from an analytics perspective, Black publishers and podcasters that use Heytai, could go on their Google Analytics or whatever analytics tool that they use, and they can be able to track the mobile usage or the mobile users that we send their way. That actually is happening today, and they get a chance to see how much traffic that we send their way, helping them to be able to obviously monetize their platforms. And so I'm going to get ready and wrap up, but my call to action to everybody on the call today is your participation in Hayti not only helps us grow, but you help our community grow as a collective to be more independent and to be able to drive revenue. And so we can be able to hire the next generation of journalists and writers and reporters coming out of college. And so that's the reason why I actually built this app. And so my call to action to you on this call is to number one, spread the word. Number two, download the app. And number three, give us a rating in the App Store. You have no idea how far that actually goes. And so wrapping up, this is sort of a question that I have for us to connect. Where do you read news? Where do you listen to your podcast? And if it's not Hey Ty, I hope it eventually will be. And so I'm going to pause there to see if you have any questions or comments, and I'll stop sharing my screen now.
First of all, thank you, Cary. And I'd like for all of you to start asking him questions because he loves to answer questions. That's how he goes down. Yes, Douglas, Mr. Price.
Hello, how are you? How's everybody doing? This is my first time joining. I want to thank
Welcome.
Shernay for inviting me. It's already been very, very fulfilling. Um, in this past few months, I launched a newsletter called the Tax Clarity newsletter on Beehive as a platform, and
Mm,
it's been a reasonably good start in that I had a very small number of subscribers, but that launched out of what I initially did on LinkedIn. And one of the things that entrepreneurs have a hard time doing sometimes is starting.
mhm.
The biggest thing is just to start, no matter how small your vision of what you do is, just to start. So I was
Yep.
able to do that. But my question to you, Cary, is in terms of migrating what existing audience and traffic that I've got, because I'm still learning a lot of the tools of how to build and further build that site and the site that it has, because it's largely a self-marketing, self-promoting venture, but I'm able to
Mhm.
make some revenue with the ad structure that's there. So it's like, okay, you got your click-through rate as your mechanism or your cost per mil as your mechanism. If you've got a larger number of subscribers, I mean, if you're not in that universe, you've got the ads to drive you. So I'm curious as to whether or not your platform, and I look at it more so as our platform,
Yes.
um, as a means to grow from an existing newsletter base and a way to feed it through that base.
So I would tell you absolutely yes. As long as you have a website, you have what's
Mm-hmm,
called an RSS feed. And what people don't realize is that RSS feed needs to be leveraged.
mm-hmm,
So I say to all the publishers that I talk to, don't just use Heytie. This is about a distribution game. The more
mm-hmm.
eyeballs see your content, the more opportunity it is for you to be able to get more exposure and for you to be able to make more money. And so through that RSS feed, I would pull in your articles inside of Heytie and expose your articles every time you publish an article. And on your website, it automatically flows through on your RSS feed, and that will flow through inside the Heytie app. And so that's sort of the
Okay.
first point of reference that I tell all of my publishers. Sign up for all of the news aggregators. You'd be surprised. News aggregators have a lot of power in that they're probably sending anywhere between, I would say, 10 to possibly even 30% of the traffic from sites comes from news aggregators. Why is that the case? Because they send out push notifications, they send out emails to their subscriber
Mm-hmm.
list, and they have a larger subscriber base than you do. So that's a way to kind of get distribution and kind of get scale that you don't have to take on yourself. You can let some of the work be done by, the power of technology.
Okay, well, I downloaded your app to my phone as you were talking, so I made sure I moved on that. But I definitely want to learn more about how to weaponize my RSS feed because I've got my actual company website and I've got the newsletter website. My
Right.
company website is mine. The newsletter website, it's in that Beehive universe, so I've got to figure out how to make that run through. But I appreciate you mentioning that, and then I'll talk to the people inside that universe to make sure I know what that actual RSS feed string is. So thank you very, very
Sure.
much.
And happy to help. And let me know when you do get it up. I'm happy to have those articles inside HI as well.
Okay, all right.
Well, go ahead. Somebody has a question, I think. Is that Nora?
Oh
Okay.
no, I'm just listening in, curious about my son.
Happy
Oh,
New
Um,
Month,
okay.
brother.
Yes, yes. Our son, our
our
son.
son, yes.
Hi,
Miss
Cary. Hey, this is
Mr.
Hey,
Marie
Marie,
for.
how you doing?
Hey, how you doing? I am so elated. And thank you, Brad, and thank you, Cary. And I may have missed it because I jumped on a little late, but you've just been such an instrumental force within our NABJ local chapter. And I just wanted to know, like, and maybe you said this already, but just maybe if you can recap for me, if possible, what really inspired you to do this? Like your transition from what you were doing to what you're doing now, and like what gives you the motivation every day to do what you do?
Yeah, so I had a chance to kind of talk about this a little bit earlier, but I'm happy to share this again because, at the end of the day, I was born and raised in New York and I lived in New York. And so, growing up in New York, I actually read, two black newspapers over in New York, the New York Daily Challenge. I read the New York Amsterdam News. And so those were weekly. One was the Daily Challenge, and one was weekly. And I was inspired because I've always read news and information from the Black press. When I came down here, I was actually looking for that resource when I moved down here. And as I mentioned, I was shocked when the Carolina Times had, gone out of business. Obviously, and I actually I need to expand on this story about the Carolina Times. I know this would be surprising to a lot of people, but this is part of the inspiration that happened. My father is actually on the line. My parents are actually on the line, and so my father, I said I've been coming to North Carolina my entire life. My father's from Enfield, North Carolina, a little tiny town off 95. And so when the Carolina Times had gone out of business, I began doing research not only on the Carolina Times and his son Kenneth Edmonds that had passed away, but I came to find out that Lewis Austin, a pioneering journalist, a civil rights advocate, who created and founded the Carolina Times, he was actually from Enfield, North Carolina. When I go to Enfield, a little small town, there's a plaque right downtown as you cross over the train tracks. And when he had, like I said, when his son had passed away, I said to myself, I was inspired to create Hayti, but I was inspired even more because of the legacy inspired me to be able to do this from a technology perspective. The long line and like I mentioned of journalists and writers who came through the Carolina Times and the work that they did with respect to serving the Durham community. And then things just kind of fell in place with me acquiring Hayti.com and knowing about the rich legacy of Hayti. I'll tell you this, before Hayti even went live, I was actually going to the Hayti Heritage Center, hayti.org. I would try to talk to as many people as possible because, out of respect of the name and the rich legacy that took place here in Durham, North Carolina, I actually went to them to let them know who actually owned Hayti.com and what I was actually doing with it. And so that's part of the inspiration. Obviously, my parents have been a big part of that too, but that was part of the inspiration, which led me to not only build this app but also continue to expand and grow it as well.
Thank you, Cary. I know Enfield all too well.
Oh,
My family is from Northampton County, North Carolina. Halifax County is the next county over,
yep,
and so I know Enfield, and I used to cover that area. So I'm so grateful that you were able to highlight that. So thank you so much,
yes,
and I'm so very proud of you, sir.
thank you.
And send my love to your family.
Okay. Yeah.
Ronnie Butts, go ahead.
Hi everybody, good
Done.
evening.
Hi.
My name is Ronnie Best. Like Chambers said, I am one of the co-editors in chief at the Campus Echo, which is North Carolina Central University's student-led newspaper. I
Hmm.
wanted to ask a question about the way that you function as an app in terms of the way that you house different podcasters on the app. So does your app more so function as a place where independent podcasters are having their work aggregated there? Or do you have some people that podcast specifically for your app that are
So I,
exclusively streamed in that network?
I love the question. Believe it or not, I spend a lot of hours on my computer. I successfully go out and search out both publishers and podcasters, and the ones that I want on the app, I reach out to them directly. In addition to that, my app became the official app for the Black Podcasters Association, which is based in New York. And
Mm.
so, as a result of becoming the official app of the Black Podcasters Association, they exposed the work that I was doing with so many podcasters. And so they began to flood my email box and they wanted to sign up and get their podcast on HeyTie. So HeyTie, once again, has over 3,000 podcasters. Some of that is just me finding podcasts that are, obviously, directly in line with our community. And some of it is actually emails that I receive, or, I receive a form that they fill out every single month on our site to sign up their podcast and get exposure through the work that we're doing with the HeyTie app. And so, as I mentioned, unfortunately, it's just one of these sad situations where publishers and podcasters are dealing with the same exact issue. And so I'm driving, traffic to both of them to be able to do that work. And I actually want to mention this to you. You have the Campus Echo. This is the perfect time for you, when you get a chance, to go to heytie.com. At the top of the page, click on publishers, or excuse me, click on publishers, because the Campus Echo is a journal, it's a website. Click on publishers. The form is free. Sign up the Campus Echo, and I will pull in articles. We have a section inside HeyTie called HBCU, and I'd love to be able to have the content from North Carolina Central show up right inside of HeyTie.
That sounds great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Did you have a follow-up, Ronnie? Hello, Ronnie?
Sorry, I'm writing a note down. No, I'm all
Okay.
good.
Okay.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
You're
All
welcome.
right. One of the questions I had is what is your future what are your future plans for expansion, or are you going to hang out in this area right now just to build it up?
Yeah. So, you know what? I feel like I'm ready to talk about this. Sometimes I feel like, maybe I keep things to myself, but, I'm on the front lines every day, and I see some things that are happening in our community, and problems that I know that technology can actually fix. And so I've successfully aggregated news. I've successfully aggregated podcasts. And the next wave of what I'm looking to do before the end of this year is to aggregate Black retailers. I have tons of apps on my phone. Sometimes a friend of mine saw my phone the other day and he said, "Man, how many apps do you have?" And I just have tons of apps on my phone. But what I'll tell you is that no different than Instagram, no different than, TikTok. People are buying products and services. I want to be able to unify and bring Black retailers together under one umbrella. So you can listen to podcasts, you can read news, and you can be able to purchase products from Black retailers for the first time, all underneath one app. And so that's the work that I'm doing to ensure that this is, somebody once told me, what you're working on is it's an ecosystem that we're building, an
Mm.
ecosystem to make sure that our community can be able to, come to one place to get access to all of the things that we all talk about, we all search for, but oftentimes it takes us a while to find this stuff. Even myself. Like I said, it's hours and hours of, documenting and listing things down and curating this stuff. And so, I've spent, quite a few the last several years buying products from Black vendors. And oftentimes, even myself, I have to go to their individual sites to be able to give them support. And I want to be able to unify that and bring it all together like I've already done for Black media.
Well, thank you, sir. Someone else. Uh, there's Deetra. Go ahead, Deetra.
Thanks, Brett. Cary, this is amazing. You have dropped so many gems tonight, and I have so many questions. But I want to start
We're
with
here.
monetization of Heytai. Like when you dived so deep into your research before you even launched this app. Were you
Yeah.
even thinking about making money or just making sure that the community had what they needed?
So initially, I was doing both, and I'll tell you why. I have some really good experience. My background, I'll tell you, I spent 20 years in banking and finance, so money was definitely a part of the equation. But at the same time, it's not as easy as you think. The hurdles that I've had to go through to be able to monetize my platform were not that easy. And so also the technology that I built. That's another thing. I had to go through several rounds of developers to be able to find the right development team. And so I lost money along the way. But at the same time, I learned some lessons along the way to make sure that I was finding and working with the right team. And so that being said, I understand things similar to which a lot of people don't understand how you make money on the internet, how it actually works. But I'll tell you that I've taken things because now I'm a platform provider. I'm not a publisher. I make money in a different way than other people do. So
Hmm.
as you scroll through the app, from time to time, you will see ads. Those ads, whether you click on them or not, I monetize those ads, and that's how I actually make money. At the same time, I also knew I needed to find a way to ensure that publishers will be able to join my platform and they could be able to monetize their platforms. So, as it turns out, because I built the technology in a certain way, which is through RSS feeds, I don't interrupt in the revenue that a publisher is going to get by me sending a user to their particular website. And I'll give you the example like this. If you click on any article in Heytai, it's actually called it's actually you're framed inside of Heytai called an iframe. They call it iframe, but you're actually on a publisher's website, even though you're still inside the Heytai app. The publisher has their own advertisements on their page. So the publisher gets a chance to monetize the mobile users that I send to their particular website. And then that user is still inside of Heytai, but they're framed inside what's called an iframe, and they come back into outside of Heytai to then look at more articles or listen to more podcasts. But I have a chance to make money from that particular user, but at the same time, I help out publishers and podcasters to monetize these same users who are looking for articles and information that normally they wouldn't be able to monetize. So for example, I'll take you through Instagram. Anything on Instagram, the only people that's making money is Instagram. It's all images. And what happens is publishers right now are spending money to boost their articles, to drive traffic to their articles. Guess what? The big tech companies, they make all of the money. And the publishers, you think if you have 100,000 followers and you want to boost your article, that 100,000 people are actually going to see your article? It's never going to happen. The publisher, excuse me, the platform is always going to win that race. And so I realized that, like publishers don't oftentimes have the capital to be able to fund those initiatives. That's why a lot of the large publishers, that's why they actually get a lot of the traffic because they're spending money with these large platforms. And I wanted to remove that impediment to make sure that our publishers could be able to stay in business and I could be able to drive mobile users to their information.
That's really smart. I'm familiar with iframes, so I'm curious to know, has that affected for lack of a better term, the aesthetic of the app in any way? Because every website is different, right? And so
Yeah.
you're relying on them to have their articles up to date, their images are live, nothing's missing. So when that iframe pops up in Hey Ty, it's still fluid. Have you had any issues with that?
I have. Whenever a publisher changes their website, the RSS feed has to be updated. And so sometimes I try to stay on top of it as much as I can with my developers, but sometimes a publisher will change their site, they don't notify us, obviously. And then you click on an article and there's a problem with that article. So we're constantly, reviewing the publisher's content and reviewing the publisher's website to make sure that the links are working and they're not broken. That in itself is a whole job in itself. But we do that by way of running reports, and tracking the number of articles that are coming in by publisher, so we can be able to make sure that we're staying ahead of the curve, and avoiding some of those things, those pitfalls. But they do happen along the way. I will say that.
That's amazing. Okay, more questions.
Sure.
So I'm curious to know in regard to privacy, since we're talking about iframes, and I know you're taking care of us, but working with those publishers that are on the app and relying on them to be, you know, keeping everything up to date. How are you keeping up with privacy from those publishers in your app? Or is that even doable?
Unfortunately, I would tell you that from a privacy standpoint, us as a company, we do as much as we possibly can with our users. We actually collect data from our users. We're a mobile app. I'm able to capture, your name, your email address, your location when you're using a cell phone. That data is available to me, and so we don't sell that data. We make sure we keep that in-house. But at the same time, publishers are not getting that data. For them, it's anonymous data because they don't know who you are as a mobile user, but I do. And I don't provide that data to the actual individual publishers. I've had some resistance here and there from the larger publishers, but for now, I've been able to navigate that. But what I'll tell you is that us as a company, I will never be able to sell that data, and I'm not interested in selling our data to somebody else. That data I use for tracking purposes. I monitor, we track everything that you read, everything you like, everything you share, everything you save, but it's only to provide a better user experience for you for our recommendations, our AI engine. And so we feed the AI engine all of this data to make sure that the information that you want to be able to read shows up, in your feed. But we don't provide that to our publishers, unfortunately.
I
So that's
love
what
that.
fine line is. Yep.
That's great. If somebody else has a question, raise their hand because I can sit here and just ask Terry questions all night.
Well,
Another
you're on a
question.
roll, Dietrich. Go ahead.
Okay.
I
Um,
said you're on a
so
roll.
since you've launched, I'm curious to know what challenges have been in front of you, whether it's a challenge to keep going or challenges from larger companies competing for your audience.
Yeah, so I will tell you that, and this is, I'm with the family tonight. And so what I'll say to you is, some of the challenges that I run into, believe it or not, have been our own Black publishers. And so it has been a
Wow.
struggle oftentimes to explain to them that I'm doing the same thing that the large other apps are doing, Google, Apple, Flipboard, Newsbreak, but I'm a Black-owned tech company. I'm doing the same thing. And believe it or not, I've had resistance whereby they won't even sign up. They will, they just won't commit to be able to get their content on HeyTide. It doesn't cost them anything. I'm able to drive additional traffic. And I tell them my job has Apple or Flipboard or Newsbreak ever sent out a push notification to their users with your articles? Well, guess what? I have the power to do that on a daily basis. It's my pleasure to do that because I want to be able to make sure that their content gets them the ad impressions, gets them the revenue that they need. But oftentimes, that has been one of my biggest struggles. And what I'll say to you is, I don't have that struggle with podcasters. Podcasters understand about distribution. They want their podcast on Apple, on Spotify, on every place that they can get it. They want people to listen to it. But our publishers, they're holding on with a tight grip to their content so tight that they're going to squeeze it to death. And so they need to understand that there is somebody, i.e., me, who has built the technology to ensure their existence, their future existence. And so those are conversations that I need to continue to still have. But it's still an uphill battle with some of the legacy publishers. And I'll say that to you.
Wow. Um, I hate to hear that, but I'm glad to hear that the podcasters are on board.
Yes.
Speaking of the podcasters, over 3,000 podcasts on Hey Ty, right? That
Yes.
is amazing. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
I'm curious to know, is there a screening process for the podcasts that are on Hey Ty? How does that work?
So, yeah, so I've been working with the Black Podcasters Association, but unfortunately, I'll tell you, because it's audio, I cannot listen, and we can't listen to every single, audio podcast, audio file. And so we give them a lot more leeway than the publishers. Publishers, um, they're a little bit more scrutinized before they get on the platform because of the type of content that they actually publish. But at the same time, for the podcasters, I've given them a lot of grace. And so as a result, they can sign up, and chances are I will have their podcast inside of Hey Ty. If you go inside at the bottom, there's a sex specific section for podcast. And let me say this to you as well. I want to tell you how innovative Hey Ty is. We not only have news, we not only have the podcast, and we have a separate carve out for podcast on a separate page, but on the main homepage in your feed, as you scroll, you will be scrolling past articles. And guess what also shows up in that same feed? Podcast episodes. We pull in thousands of pieces of content every single month, thousands of episodes from podcasters and articles. And now we've combined them into one feed to ensure that podcasters also can get a listen through that process and they get exposure through that process. And so I think that I don't want to say, I would dare to say that I'm very one of the very few apps that actually you can have that experience in. And so we did that for a very specific reason to ensure and do something out of the box. And before you ask your next question, this is actually going to be released this month, but I'm actually going to put this actually in the chat right now. Google has really done a really phenomenal job of helping support some of the work that I'm doing, and they decided that they were going to write a story about the work that I'm doing with Hey Ty. And so Google wrote a 4-page article on Google's website that I'm actually sharing in the link that will be sent out socially this month, but I'm actually sharing it here today with the NABJ task force to let you know that Google for Publishers has actually done a phenomenal job of supporting some of the work. When they found out that the tech that I have developed and the app that I have in the App Store, they were even shocked. And so they decided to get behind me with support and actually wrote this article on this. So I wanted to actually mention that as well.
That is amazing, Cary. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I have no more questions at the moment. I'm sure more are going to come up, but I'm going to let somebody else take the mic.
Okay, sure.
Is that you grabbing the mic there, but bro? I
Yeah.
see you up there.
Yeah.
Wayne.
What's up, y'all? Good evening. Hopefully everybody out as well. Appreciate you, Cary, for coming to speak with us at the task force, and Brett for setting it up. I wrote some notes down. First thing I want to say, I appreciate you because I was there when you gave the presentation to BPA. I am part of the Black Podcasters Association, so was definitely familiar with you. Definitely, we're still having these conversations, and one of the main things that we appreciate when it came to you bringing us this platform is representation. And
Yeah.
representation is like extremely big. That was and it's still a conversation that we have in the podcasting world,
Mhm.
that the representation that we have. So it's good to have a platform for us, by us, that type of situation. So I just want to say kudos to that. And I'm saying that to co-sign to the people that's on the call, to let them know that no, to let y'all know that this is a great platform. And also I wanted to speak on the screening process. BPA definitely has like a direct, indirect type of screening process, so it won't be nothing crazy going on
Right.
that goes on the platform. Listen, we are a very tight knit community
Mhm.
over there, the podcast world and BPA, and and I can speak respectfully for Corey and Crystal and all of
Yeah.
them over there. Um, that the screening process is kind of indirect, but it's
Right.
definitely direct. We don't believe in any type of foolishness or whatever
Mhm.
going on. We do have a community notes that we go by, so it's safe over there.
Right.
It's safe, but nevertheless, I just want to
Safe
say I
is
appreciate
good.
you, Karen.
Yes.
Yeah, I appreciate you for the information. Um, but just know that the podcasters we are on, and we support you over here at the Black Podcast Association.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Yes.
And I know there's still more work to be done, more conversations still to be had. But I think that, days like today and having this meeting, this session is where we start and where we begin to kind of push forward our narrative and our information and the tools that we have available for Black media overall.
Cool. Um, I would like to ask you, what things do you need from us? What do you need from us? If we could support you in a bigger way, what do you need from us?
Yeah, I think about the organization, right? And so obviously, this is NABJ, right? So you guys have an annual conference. You have access to a database of reporters and journalists, and photographers and videographers. And so what I say to you is that I would love to figure out how Hayti begins to develop a more lasting long-term relationship with NABJ. NABJ has NABJ News and Views, which is actually on Hayti, and that site actually needs to be updated. In fact, because of the RSS feed, as we talked about. But I'd love to figure out how NABJ supports the work that I do to their larger community I'm part of the regional chapter, but to part of the larger community across the nation. I would love to have Hayti as the official app for NABJ. I don't know what that looks like, on NABJ side, but I'm happy to spin up a deck to be able to get that to the right person over at NABJ, because I think that helps and it carries a lot of weight as I begin to do the work that I do. But everybody needs help along the way, and I'm not shy about it as well. I can do so much on my own, but obviously together, we can obviously go a lot further. And so I'd love to figure out how who I need to talk to, how I need to do that. But I'm ready to go.
Thank you for that part because I just want to. Hopefully, it'll be announced and hopefully we get in. But for
Yeah.
us, by us is actually the title of the proposal that was sent to
Um,
NABJ's innovation bubble that includes you and some other people from our market, KMAC in the sports shop, and so and I think it was Sheila Brooks. So we have we
okay.
have a good proposal in there. So hopefully we can get you in front of the national audience at NABJ during our national convention.
Yes.
Somebody else has a question. I was feeling that. I wasn't sure who it was. Who's Glenn? Okay. One other question then. There's another platform that you have, not to come away from Hayti, but I
Yeah.
think it ties into the for us by us thing and the getting started theme and the entrepreneurship part of our entrepreneurship task force.
Mhm.
Please share that with us, the genesis of that.
Absolutely. I started a platform called College Health TV. This platform is especially important to me because um, I did so much groundwork. I did something that a lot of people just don't do today. I got on the road and I did this because one day my partner, who's a physician and also a medical journalist, right now a medical journalist for CBS, I happened to be at his university where he's the chief medical officer at a HBCU campus, in fact, and he was upset that day when I was in his office, and he said to me. He said, there's got to be a better way to reach these kids. They're coming in with a lot of the same issues. And so I said to him, well, all of the work that you're doing, why don't you, think about getting students involved? And we began and we created a company, and that company is called College Health TV. And College Health TV is a health and wellness media company that streams peer health education content to now over 100 universities across the nation. We hire students, we put them in a television studio, and we shoot them talking about health and wellness topics, mental health, sexual health, sleep deprivation, food and nutrition. We started on an HBCU campus, and now we're in over 100 universities across 30 states in the US. And I started that process by driving on the road from campus to campus, and I would drop off a streaming stick every single day. And I did that for weeks. And then the light bulb went on for these university campuses. They had never seen a streaming TV service with students in it, providing health and wellness information. And that's when it actually kind of took off. And so I'm especially proud about that because it's it makes me feel good knowing that these college kids on campus are getting the health information that they need. They're away from mommy and daddy for the first time. They're making decisions on their own. And some of the decisions that they make are bad decisions. And so I'll tell you, just to walk you through an example. I was on a college campus and a student happened to be in the waiting room area. And he was in pain. And he decided he was going to take more pain meds than what was recommended on the bottle. And he happened to be watching one of our videos, and it talked about overuse of medication and how it has an impact on his kidneys. Because of that video, he actually stopped overdosing or overusing medicine that he shouldn't do. And so what I'll say to you is that it's those types of stories that happen on HBCU campuses and just campuses across the nation, and we're making an impact in college health on campuses around the country. And so that work that I do, unfortunately, during COVID, it was impacted, which led me to actually start Hey Ty. And now that company is actually back up and running. We've got some amazing partners and students. And I'm happy to say and share this as well that North Carolina Central is not only a client. When you go to North Carolina Central, they have TVs playing College Health TV on North Carolina Central's campus. But North Carolina Central is now becoming a production partner for College Health TV, and we will be utilizing their students in the School of Journalism to produce some of our video content that will be broadcasted across the nation. And so really, really proud of the work that we're doing, obviously with the company and also locally here that with NCCU. So thanks again for that as well.
Oh, you hear that, Ronnie? Hear that, Roberta? They're both NCCU students. I just had to give them a shout out.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And let me share this too. When I talk about building a company and one company can help another, I run ads because I have access to these screens for Hayti on HBCU campuses. So right now, today, my company, College Health TV, is on 35 HBCU campuses. And in addition to providing health and wellness content, we have ads where college students could be able to download the Hayti app on those same campuses as well. We've got, NCCU, and I don't want to talk too much about rivals, but we got A&T, we got Hampton, we've got, Morehouse, we've got Spelman, we've got all of the schools that you know of, and we're providing information. So just know that I'm doing some work not only to, obviously help our community, but I'm also doing work to help our youth and our students come up as well. Roberta, I think you have a question.
Hello, my name is Roberta. I was enjoying listening. I'm just at work, so I couldn't really talk too much. But I had a question. So you say that you have a streaming service, that helps students. How do you advertise that streaming service? I only say that because this is like the first time I'm hearing about it. So I was wondering if there's.
So I'll say this to you. We're very fortunate. I don't spend a lot of money on advertising because a lot of it, most of it is word of mouth. If you went to the Student Health Center in North Carolina Central, the big TV screen in the waiting room is actually playing college health TV. And so our clients are actually universities. We don't rely on the students to play our programming. We rely on the universities because what we found when I went across all of these universities is that all these universities, whether it was a private school, whether it was Ivy League, whether it was state, whether it was public, it didn't matter. They all had all of these TVs on campus, but all of the TVs were playing cable television. And so we came on board, and now we're providing all of this information, as I mentioned, on these campuses across the nation. And so our channel is played at the health center, the fitness center, and the dining hall on most campuses. And at Central right now, we're at the health center, but before the semester ends, possibly, or if not, definitely when the semester restarts, we will also be at the fitness center and we'll also be in the dining hall on those TVs. So you'll kind of see us across campus with some of the programming that we play. And so it gives, like I said, North Carolina Central, the students an opportunity to tell their friends that they're on television once this is actually solidified in terms of the relationship.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
And
you,
thank you
Brad.
for all of you folks that showed up today. We appreciate you. This is the NABJ's Entrepreneurship Task Force. Big shout out. Thank you, Wayne, for being our Director of Communications. And
Yes.
he's a VP. I'm sorry, he's not director, he's VP. And basically, he's also co-chair with Shanae. I'm just grateful to have been one of the co-founders with Dorothy Tucker. So I just want to say thank all of you. Please tell your friends about it. Wayne, do you want to tell them about the YouTube version of this?
Yep. So within the next 24 or 48 hours, this will be uploaded to our YouTube page. So if you go to NABJ Entrepreneurship Task Force, if you give me 2 seconds, I can put that link in there so you can can subscribe to us. So you can watch the replay. Let me see. And then also you can follow us on our page. What is it called? Instagram.
Okay.
So that's the YouTube page. So make sure you subscribe to that. Also, our our Instagram page is the same thing. Let me see. NABJ, ABJ, BTF. All right, so that's the Instagram. So follow both of those. We have a Facebook as well, which is the same thing. NABJ Entrepreneurship Task Force. So you can follow those social medias. That's where you can find all the information at. But the YouTube version will be up within 24 to 48 hours. And we'll make sure that we have all the contact from Cary and his brand added into there. So you can follow it, subscribe, go to the site, check it out, add your information on there, and tell everybody. Tell
Yes.
everybody about
Everybody.
this platform. So,
Thank you
and we
Well,
all.
appreciate
Lewis,
y'all. We appreciate y'all even taking the time to be a part of this.
Thank you so much as well. I appreciate it.
and hopefully we'll see all of you either at Region 3 in Montgomery, Alabama, down there with Marie Torres. She's putting it together as we speak, and then our national convention in Atlanta in August. And hopefully we'll have a For Us By Us panel at the
Yes.
national convention. And we appreciate, let's give him a virtual and hand Mr. Cary Wheelous. Thank you, sir. I'll be in touch.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Everyone, have a good night. Be safe. Happy Easter Monday.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Happy
Cindy.
Easter Monday. Thank you, Cary.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you all. Thank you, Cary. Thank you, Brett.